Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, breadwinners, thread spinners, and all those in between, you're now watching the TNF podcast with your favorite bipolar rock and roller, Mr. J. Curtis Strickland. Do me a favor, click on that like button, click on the subscribe button, click on the bell for notifications, leave some comments. It helps in the algorithm. All right, so I want to talk about some upcoming shows that we've got. By the time this airs, we will have had John Marino from Circle Back, but yeah, check that out. That's already up. Alex Elkin, LA comedian, he's going to be on the 3rd of April at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. Hoya from Madball, Scarhead, Smoke AD, Smoking Word TV is going to be on the 7th of April at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard. Joe Mustin and Johnny Smerdell from Advent and Beloved are going to be on the 14th of April at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard. Scott Vogel from my favorite fucking hardcore bands ever, Terror, Buried Alive, Despair, and Slugfest on the 21st of April at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard. And Tim McMahon is going to be on the 28th of April at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. My next guest today is a very funny LA comedian. He's been working the circuit for a while. He's also a yoga instructor, which I find to be rather interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, Yoga Leroy, what's going on, man?
What's going on, brother? How you doing?
I'm chilling, man. Just here in North Carolina, just kicking it.
It's a
So,
kick-ass intro, by the way. That
oh,
cartoon.
thanks. I paid about $250 for it on what
Oh,
was it, Fiverr or something?
really? That's good. That's good. I'm gonna have to
Yeah,
jump
I
on
got
fire.
no animation skills, so I gotta outsource it a little bit. But yeah, it's good. We did the previous one and we drove around the city and like the LA River and filmed it and stuff. But it was a little risque, so I'm trying to clean up my act a little bit, and so the cartoons was pretty appropriate, you know.
Yeah, yeah, I like it. Good
Thanks,
stuff.
man. So let's talk about you a little bit. Did you have like a performance background prior to getting into comedy? Did you do like drama or music or anything like that? How did you get involved in comedy and what kind of inspired you to get involved?
Yeah, I've been acting. I moved to Los Angeles to be an actor. So I was in drama and school plays, and I was in my first movie when I was 16, which was the movie 10 Things I Hate About You that was shot at my high school. And
Oh
that's
wow.
yeah, that's what kind of made me want to pursue. I met Heath Ledger on set, and I was on set because I was casted as like a football player, like a featured background, so I was throughout the whole movie.
Cool.
And watching Heath Ledger, watching Julia Stiles was like, man, I could do this. So like that's
Yeah.
what made me want to be an actor. So after I played football and I went to college, and after college and football and all that was out of my system, I came to LA and started pursuing acting. So I the original dream was to be an actor, a working actor. But as we know, this business is not your friend. So
That's probably an understatement.
yeah,
That's
so
interesting.
many years later, trying to feel like an artist still. I was in acting class with a friend of mine, and he was like, "Hey, man, you need to get on stage," because I've been writing too. I've been writing scripts. I sold a pilot called Taylor Problems. That was like 10 years ago. It was a comedy pilot. So I was always writing comedy scenes in class and writing scenes for actors. And a friend of mine, really funny comedian, also really talented actor named J.R. Cruz, was like, "Hey, bro, you need to get on stage." And I was like, "Nah, I can't really see myself doing stand up." And he was like, "Hey, come to this open mic with me." And I was like, "All right, but I'm not gonna get on stage." Pulled up to the open mic, and he was like, "All right, now get on stage." And he was just like, "Get up there and just talk about your day." And yeah, I did that, and I was like, "Yo, I could do that. I could do this." And that's what started it. It's literally been about 10 years. I've been doing comedy for about 10 years. So that's what started it. Um, and yeah, man, it's also not your friend, stand-up comedy.
I don't
But
doubt that.
You know, entertainment as a whole is not your friend. You got to really find your uh your own voice and your own place, and nothing else. The distractions of what success means to you and other people, just you just gotta kill all that noise, or you're gonna quit, because there's no roadmap, there's no rhyme, there's no reason. It just it's a funny business, man. It is.
Yeah. I mean, trying to make it out there was a really interesting experience for me. And, I've talked about this on previous episodes. There's a lot of people that want to see you fail. They don't want you to do well and they don't have your best interests in mind. So it's like, you know, with the route of stand-up comedy, that seems to be pretty effective because you can actually go and kind of like steer your own ship, and your success will be incumbent upon you, So, excuse me. Uh, I think that in this day and age, we've come to a point now where you can just create your own content. You can just do your own stuff. You don't have to rely on studios or agents or anything like that. And I think you probably made the right decision because, like you said, like it's definitely not your friend.
Yeah, bro. And yeah, you're right. A lot of people in the your peers, there's not a lot of love, man. That's why you got to really just find a few people, keep your circle tight. Nobody is really rooting for you. If I always have I don't trust anybody anymore. I've been doing this for too long. I don't trust nobody. When someone starts to like me, I'm like, why do you like me? What
Right.
do you want from me? And that's really what it
Exactly.
is. Soon as a producer starts to put you on, it's not because they like you, it's because they see that they could probably make money off of you. They
Of course.
it's a money game. It's a money race. There's no love. There's not much love. The love that you think that there is, it's fake. I promise
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Did you study at any of the conservatories in LA?
No, well, I studied Meisner, so that's like what my acting background is. I studied Meisner for like 8 years, and uh
So
did
the
some other
repetition exercises.
repetition. I really enjoyed Meisner. You know, I'm a big imagination type of person. You know, I enjoy like the imagination exercises and really like improving my imagination and stuff like that. And that's what Meisner kind of talks about, or focuses on. And yeah, so I studied with a few different acting coaches, but as far as a technique, that's really the only technique that I really got into because it just felt like it worked for me. So I was like, yeah, this is what it is, you know. And after I studied for, I mean, I literally studied for like 10 years, and after 10 years, why study more if you're not working?
Well,
This is
and
how I
two, I don't
feel.
think. Yeah, I think there's a degree of truth in that, but also, with your craft of acting and even comedy, I'm sure it's just one of those things that you can constantly get better at, and you can improve your skills. And I also studied Meisner technique when I was in college, and then I went to Hollywood and I studied Adler technique, and
Nice.
I just felt that approaching different techniques and learning different things just made me ultimately a better actor in the end, and like I know there's some actors out there that do workshops and will still like try to stay on their toes as far as like perfecting their craft and stuff like that. So I don't think there's any shame in that at all.
Yeah, I mean, I've been reading books. Like I'll collect a book, like an actor prepares, and I'll read Stanislavski's book, and I'll read the books and stuff like that. I've s- this is something I've been talking to actors about. Is like, we study, we audition, we study, we audition, we study, or we audition, but nobody tells you about what happens when you book a role and how and when you get on set. and the things that you have to adjust to on set. And I mean, that's the biggest class. Those sets are the biggest class, but it's so hard to get on set, these days, But being on set is the class, bro. Like that's like when you see good actors, I think the good actors develop working on projects.
Oh,
I,
no doubt.
yeah.
There's a really good book by Michael Caine called Acting in Film, and that one was like a real game changer for me because it's all like practical application to actually being on set and like, finding your mark and like, what like etiquette, set etiquette, what you should and what you should not do on set. So that one, I think I read that one before I moved to LA, and that one was like, you know, world changing for me. I loved it.
Oh man, I need to read that book. I'm gonna read that book
Yeah.
because it's really I've last year I booked a couple of things, and you know nobody really talks to you or prepares you for like the things that you have to deal with on set, the egos you have to deal with on set, the pace, depending on if it's a movie or television. Um, Nobody prepares you for that. Nobody talks about that. And I think the reason why people aren't talking about it because nobody's booking as much
Yeah.
in a high frequency. Those people that are booking, and this is why I love about the comedy community opposed to the acting community. Comedy community, just even though the comics are very toxic, but we're tighter. We talk to each other. We talk about the things that we're experiencing shows and what shows are good, and we're sharing information. I don't feel like actors really share information. When an
Oh,
actor,
no.
yeah, when an actor starts getting something, it's like I'm not telling you nothing.
Exactly.
you know?
I had buddies out there that were had agents and everything, and I was like, "Get me hooked up," and they're like, "Man, I would, but I'd be competing with you for roles." And I'm like, that at the same time makes me feel kind of good. I'm like, "Oh, am I intimidating to you? Like, what?
Yeah,
If you're good, you'll get the roles over me, right? You know?"
yeah, yeah. And that was the one thing about being like really like trying to keep a acting like community that was just like kind of annoying.
Right.
Nobody really shares anything. Everybody's really secretive about everything, and it's very just kind of operating in like lack, like there's not enough for everybody. And
Yeah.
you look at it, it doesn't seem like there's enough for everybody, because it's a competitive, it's extremely competitive. I mean, competitive isn't even the word. It's like a lottery, to be honest.
Cutthroat.
Yeah.
Um, Now, like, you started performing comedy. Was stand up something that you had uh kind of paid attention to in the past, like as far as like, looking at comedians and being like inspired by them? And, if so, who were some of your favorite comedians that you were kind of really into?
I've always liked comedy. I was always a fan of comedy. Um, Before I started comedy, my favorite comedians was David Chappelle, um, The Chappelle Show. Um, Killing Me Softly is one of my favorite stand-up specials. Um, Patrice O'Neill, The Elephant in the Room is one of my favorite stand-up specials. So yeah, I was a fan of I was a fan of comedy. Never really always knew I had a story to tell, but just never really thought about telling it in that format, like on stage. Always thought about telling it in like writing scripts or something like that, like a series. But yeah, I mean, that's why I encourage everybody to get on stage. I mean, it's just a very beneficial tool to have to like get on stage and break the fourth wall and talk to an audience, even if you're not finding jokes. I make my son get on stage. I encourage my wife to get on stage. I mean, when you do things out of your comfort zone, it really shifts a perspective, you know and it's a tool to be able, something, like my brother who is a poet and a rapper, he did a conference in Hawaii, this spiritual conference, and he had to speak, and he hit me up, and I was like, hey, you should throw some jokes in there. It's just gonna break up the tension. It's gonna get people engaged, and it's gonna make them feel like you're not just trying to teach them something. You're trying to connect with them. And
Sure.
he did it, and he took my advice, and he was like, man, it was great. They loved all the jokes I put in. So I just think it's a great tool to have, even if you're not pursuing stand up. It's a great tool to have.
Yeah, definitely getting up on stage. And so when you first started getting up on stage, like you said, you had friends kind of goad you into it. I actually had a limited run of stand up, and I didn't really pursue it, but the kind of friends were like, get up on stage and like you said, tell a story. And so I had to kind of very quickly write something down, like, okay, like literally 15 minutes before I got up there. And it was I'd say the first one kind of went okay, but then like we actually went around in the southeastern region of the United States, did a few dates, and then I kind of flopped on some of them. But like with
Mhm.
your experience, what was it like, and like did you start to kind of gain traction after that and get like a good crowd response? Because I watched your 10-minute special on YouTube, and people seem to be really enjoying it. Was that something that kind of took a while, or did you kind of start to see like results almost instantly?
I didn't see results instantly. I mean, I feel like the first 4 years. Well, first off, I was a drunk, so like the first 4 years of comedy, most of the time I was wasted on stage. So I don't even honestly, I don't even count those years. I mean, I really tell people like you should not be doing stand up drunk. Like you're not learning anything. You're just up there just like winging it, and guessing, and like that's what that was. But that was how I got rid of like my anxiety, my nerves, and stuff like that.
Sure.
Or like that was the tool I thought that I should be using for that. So honestly, man, the first 4 years I couldn't tell you a joke. I couldn't tell you a joke from those first 4 years. There's one joke I did about my father-in-law that I could probably recite to you, but uh, I didn't do much those first 4 years. Was really just running around the scene, and that is kind of LA. Like LA, it's the comedy scene. A lot of it, the majority of people here aren't really trying to be comics. They're just trying to find a group of people to hang out with, and that's a
Sure.
lot of the comedy scene. So you gotta be intentional. So I've always had some type of charisma on stage, like even in those years. So it's not like I was up there just bombing. I'm sure I had good nights and stuff like that, but I wouldn't say I started to actually take it seriously. I didn't actually start taking it seriously until I got sober, till I had stopped drinking. And when I stopped drinking, yeah, things started clicking, started writing more, um, started finding who I am, who people see me. The biggest thing about comedy, especially when you have these short sets, which is everybody has like 5 minutes, 10 minute sets. We're not doing anything more than that until you start headlining. Then it's 20 minutes, 30 minutes, sometimes 45 minutes, right? But before you could move in there, you're trying to literally tell your story in 5 minutes and 10 minutes. So a big thing about it is what does the audience see? Like that's the low hanging fruit. Me pulling jokes from what the audience see. I play a lot on my yoga. I play a lot on personal training. I play a lot on the fact that people don't expect me to be a yoga instructor. I play a lot on that, the low hanging fruit that are gonna get those laughs. Um,
Mhm.
Now I'm starting to talk a little bit more. I mean I have an hour of low hanging fruit jokes. You know but
Yeah.
those aren't. It's not fun. It's literally for that. Those low hanging fruit jokes are literally for the audience, because audiences are dumb. I There's no way around it. Audiences want the dumb shit. They want,
Right.
they if you could just stand on stage for 3 minutes and turn around and get everybody to laugh at your physical appearance, you had a killer set. Because that's how dumb our audience is. They don't want,
Yeah.
you know, until they
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
to know you, then they're like, oh, okay, now let's get into some intelligent premises and
You,
jokes, and let's
you
start.
made me think of a funny thing where, Eddie Murphy in Raw, he talks about, he's like, oh, they just think I'm the guy that swears. And he's like, shit, motherfucker, piss, cunt, cock, and good night. Suck my dick.
Yeah,
It's like,
and they were dying.
that, they thought it was hilarious. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, man.
Yeah, I understand totally, man. Like it's you kind of go for like the lowest common denominator in a lot of you know with a lot of rooms and stuff. It's difficult because we live in such a sensitive climate now to where there's you know people that are it doesn't seem like they're there for comedy. It just seems like they're there for, to be offended or like, what is he going to say that's going to set me off or something like that. And, have you ever experienced anything with like hecklers or people that were either offended by your content that kind of like popped off at you during the show?
Um, yes, but not in a way where it was hard to deal with. Um, and earlier in my because I can roast, like I'm good at that as well.
Mhm.
But I'm a big black guy, so when I do that, it's either really funny or it could go south, right? It could come off very intimidating
Sure.
and rub people the wrong way. So I stopped doing that really for the most part, because, like I said, now I'm more intentional. I'm there to, like, I want to entertain you. I want you to have a good time. Um, I don't want to piss anybody off. Like, that's not my intention to piss anybody off. Now, if you're pissed off by my ideas, like my ideas, my perspective, go fuck yourself, right?
Right.
But I'm not gonna engage because it just doesn't work for me. Some people can do that, and some and it come off very well, and like um I can't even think of names right now, but there,
Bill
yeah,
Burr is like the master of, if you've ever heard that Philadelphia rant where he goes off
yes,
for
I
about
have,
15 minutes. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I mean that's next level. I'm not there yet, So I'm very much aware of what level I'm at and who I need to be the best when I am on stage. I'm very much aware. I'm when it comes to stand up and acting, I'm no longer living in delusion. And I've lived in delusion for a while, and
Sure.
I'm at the place in my life where it's like I don't want to live that way anymore. I want to do this. I want to do it in a healthy way. Um, so yeah, but I'm also a big black guy, so I don't deal with that. I don't experience that a lot. But this
Yeah, they
is
probably
Los.
don't want to pop off to you because
Yeah, I don't
fuck you up.
experience it a lot. This is LA. People do get offended a lot. I would in my opinion, I've been to Austin, I've been to Pittsburgh, the East Coast, Washington. I've told jokes, Arizona, Texas, yeah, all through Texas. This is the worst place for comedy, Los Angeles.
Is it?
It's not everywhere, but the city of Los Angeles. These are the tightest, like you said, people come to judge or to hear a specific, you know, in the box type of comedy. And if you're out of the box at all, nope, we're not hearing it. We're gonna do our best not to engage and laugh at it. This is comedy here is, it's not it's interesting, man, because there's so many mics in Los Angeles, so you could literally get on stage 7 days a week, 10 times out of the day and practice comedy. But as far as valuable like audiences where you're really testing out material, where it's audiences that aren't in the industry, audiences that aren't people that think they know what comedy should be sound like, what you should be talking about. It's not realistic. The audiences here, it's not realistic when it comes to like if going on tour and moving up as a comic, where you're going on tour, where you're talking to most people who are working class people. They're not people that are in the entertainment industry or know somebody in the entertainment industry. We're in Los Angeles, you're fighting with that, and you're also fighting with this woke culture. This we know the right way, and we're going to adjust you if you don't meet our requirements. That's Los Angeles right there.
Oh yeah.
That's LA. So as an artist, you're fighting with those two things here. And I mean, I've had so much more fun telling jokes outside of Los Angeles. Not only that, but get such a better response from people, which which is great. It's great, but I'm in LA. So now for me, it's like, how do I continue to grow as a comic here, knowing knowing how this place is.
Sure.
It's not going to change. That's LA. That's LA. It's
You don't doubt it. Did you play or did you perform at the Mothership in Austin?
I
Rogan's
did,
Club?
man.
How
I
was
did.
that?
I got passed by the mothership, man. It was great. It was
Like
great.
they really enjoyed you?
Yeah, yeah. So I went to Austin 2 years, started going to Austin 2 years ago with Can't Even Comedy. Can't Even Comedy. They have been very supportive. And they put me on a lot of shows. They started in LA and they recently moved to Austin a year ago. So I went on tour. I went on a couple tours with them. And on those tours, I met a lot of great comedians in Austin. And, the mothership has their mic every Monday, Sunday and Monday, and met a couple of heavy hitters down there, Lucas McCrary, um, and a couple of door guys down there. And they slid me into that mic, and yeah, I got a call back. I literally had to fly back in for my callback.
Oh wow.
I flew back in for my callback, and then after my callback went well, and talked to Adam, and he was like, "Yeah, give me, let me know when you're in town, and when I go back in town, they usually give me spots there, but I haven't been going back. I haven't been going back. I haven't been going back, and like it was. I really wanted to move to Austin. I really wanted to move to Austin, but I got a whole family in Los Angeles. My wife has a
Sure.
job that she's committed to. My son's in high school, so I really was like, man, I got to move to Austin, but that 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 just wasn't going to work out. And it sucks because I felt like I was starting to find something in Austin that I haven't found in LA. I found, it felt like I was getting rewarded for the hard work that I've been doing in LA. Because I was, going to these places like the mothership, the creek and the cave. People are showing me love and respect. They're putting me on stage. And it was refreshing to be like, okay, so I don't suck. Los Angeles will kind of make you think you suck, because everything here is about who likes you. It's not really about being funny. If you
Right.
ever go to a show and you're like, these guys are performing at the Improv, these guys are performing at the Comedy Store, and you're like, these guys, and
Yeah.
and it's because people like them. It's not because their talent has gotten them their spots.
Right.
It is what it is. I mean, that's Los Angeles. It's been like this for years, but it was refreshing to go to Austin and feel like, okay, okay,
Yeah.
I have been working on my craft. And I do, unless something really big happens in the next 3 years, I can see myself moving to Austin eventually or to New York.
Wow. I hear
Um,
New York is good too.
yeah, I've always wanted to live in New York and grind in New York. Um, and a lot of big comics, they say you learn and you grind in New York and these other places, and then you go to LA to get famous. Like, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it seems like either you start in LA and go to New York, or you start in New York and go to LA. Like I've known people that have done that. I actually had the thought of going to New York to, work on, whatever acting, what have you, and then I don't know, man, like the climate there, I mean like the social climate there, and then the cost of living and all that other stuff. It just seemed like I was like, I don't know. And like, doing this podcast, much like doing comedy, you can kind of do it wherever you're at, and it seems to be like consistency is almost the key to just about anything. Because I mean, you keep grinding at it. Eventually, someone will take notice of you, and you will get an audience and a following, and that seems to be the biggest factor in you know success.
Absolutely, that is the common denominator, consistency, and honestly, that's the toughest part.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you mentioned, because a lot of people think that even actors in LA, they don't have a day job, and there's like Ileana Douglas, who used to date Martin Scorsese. She was in Goodfellas, and then when she stopped being involved with Martin Scorsese, she didn't get work as much, so she had to go work in a furniture store, which
Mm.
is crazy to me, like just think like I'd seen her on screen, and then it's like, oh, that's all she does is act, but then it's like, yeah, people have day jobs, people got to grind, people got to hustle, and it's like, that's a hard reality for some people to accept, because you just want to go out there and be instantly successful. So that leads to my next question. You are a yoga instructor, and how did you get involved in that, and what made you kind of want to pursue that as like a career trajectory?
Well, I've been a personal trainer. I've been a fitness person all my life. I played football. After football, that was kind of how I earned my living while I was doing acting, was personal training, door jobs, security, things like that. Um, and then I hurt my back. I've been in the weight room and a football player. So I have a lot of injuries. I hurt my
Sure.
back, and this was like 12 years ago. Hurt my back.
Oh,
My back went out where I couldn't walk, and my left leg went numb. And so I had a minor back surgery, and then afterwards, um, someone just suggested I start doing yoga. You know, I have a joke that says, doing yoga for a straight man, doing yoga is it's an adult thing to do. It's an adult thing to do because we don't
it
do
certainly
yoga
is.
until we get hurt because
Right. I
yoga's
have
con-
a similar experience. I got hit by a car, and I shattered uh, one of my vertebra, and I started doing yoga, and it was uh, it was an interesting experience. I'll leave it at that. But yeah, it seems like it's a good thing for therapy, and you're not overexerting yourself really too much, and kind of regaining strength in an unconventional way.
Yeah, so the magic of and I teach hot yoga, and the magic of hot yoga is, your heart rate is up, you're burning calories, like it's almost like low impact cardio in a way.
Sure.
So the older you get, it's running's out. For me, running's out. I only run from the police now. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm kidding. But running is out. Like I'm only running when I absolutely need to. Like,
Sure.
Um, but the yoga gets that cardio in, because I'm sweating and my heart rate is up. I teach I teach yoga sculpt. So my most popular class is yoga sculpt, which is yoga with weights. It's a vinyasa flow with weights.
Okay.
So I started teaching that class, and because of my personal training background, it just clicked right away. And one thing I've noticed about yoga, it's a environment, very feminine environment, right?
Uh-huh.
So one thing I noticed right away is like, and this is the crazy thing about everything, bro. Like everything, even if it's like, oh, this is feminine, this is masculine. Every
Right.
place you go to is really looking for balance.
Sure.
Every place is looking for balance. And that's why I noticed right away, like moving my energy in this very feminine place, like people were like, we need you. We need you here, you know, because you help restore the balance that we're looking for.
That's
Um,
good.
and that's why a woman's only gym don't work. Like it just doesn't work. You'll see a women's only gym, you'll see
Yeah.
that 4 months it'll be closed. It just doesn't work. Like even when people are like, I don't want to be around this energy, it's temporary.
Sure.
It's temporary because we
Yeah.
need balance in our life.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I saw, and honestly, like yoga is a very accepting place. Most yoga studios now, it's getting a little gymmy now because yoga is becoming so popular.
Would it
But
be safe to say that some of them are a little culty as well?
yoga could get really culty because it's addicting. Just like the gym, like when you start moving your body and you start opening up all these things and you start healing trauma in your body because you're moving a certain way and stretching and these endorphins start kicking in. It's addicting, right? It's addicting. So
Sure.
um I think those things make people like get into this kind of cult vibe. But in cults they do yoga. It
Sure.
is a very cult thing to do. So like those things do kind of connect. Those dots kind of connect. You got Bikram, a very a very culty type of style of yoga, 26 and 2. It's a very addictive yoga style of yoga because of the nature of the poses, which is a detox, and um also the length of the class. It's almost like, ayahuasca.
Yeah. Never done it, but I know it.
Yeah, that's like 26 and 2. It's like you're literally torturing yourself to get magical benefits
Right.
in
That's
your
some white
brain.
people shit, though.
That's
That's
white
some
people
white
shit.
people shit I never did. Yeah.
That's white people shit. I haven't
Like
done it either.
go out into Joshua Tree and fucking have a little retreat that costs like thousands of dollars
Yeah.
and trip out with a bunch of people. You ever do that?
I've never done ayahuasca. I probably will one day.
Okay.
I started playing around with shrooms like 3 years ago. Every now and then I'll
Okay.
take a heavy dose of shrooms and go in my backyard and roll around in the grass and cry a little bit. It's always
Wow.
a good time.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah, man.
I had a buddy that did ayahuasca in South America and he was never quite the same after that. Like I remember he was like I was over at his house and he was like, "Do you want something to eat?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll take something to eat." And he was like, "Okay." Like that. And I was like just this long delayed pause where I was like, "Dude, what?" You know, like I was like he was out in outer space or something. I was like,
Yeah.
"Bro, like what is going on?"
Wow, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, so I have struggled with depression a lot of my life. So like that's what really kind of intrigues me about ayahuasca, but I'm also on a good path of learning how to be a healthier person without it. So I don't
Sure.
really know why I would need to do it, but because because I've been doing the work myself. I mean, I go to therapy, um, yoga, mindfulness, meditating, started praying again, started to really reconnect myself with my God, my higher power. Um, and yeah, I mean, I've heard good things about ayahuasca. But I've also heard good things about ketamine. Like I
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
there's a lot of things out there.
Well, a lot of people are on the microdosing thing too, and I hear a lot about that. I've had different experiences with mushrooms where it was like, I could, have like a really good experience or a not experience like where it's like it does nothing for me, and then I can have like a terrible experience. I watched Donnie Darko on shrooms one time and I thought I wanted to fucking kill myself. I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
fuck this shit. So but yeah, if, I guess if it works for you, like, hey, by all means, do it type thing. And that's, I guess that's kind of the glory of living in California, is that all that stuff is kind of more easily accessible.
Yeah, yeah, my whole thing is get better, you know?
Sure.
I'm not gonna judge how you what avenue you research or explore to try to get better. Just get better. And like I had a friend saying like I had a friend they were joking on stage, but we're telling the truth, like on stage, like a lot of comics, we're really telling the truth. And and what he was saying was, I know I'm fucked up. I just don't know how to get better. And I think that's a lie. We know, like we might be in denial. We might like certain, I think a lot of the times we operate in these unhealthy, toxic ways, and we're not honest with the fact that we like it. I used to be a very violent, aggressive person. It was a program I
Yeah.
had from my upbringing, football, and after I stopped doing that, after I started playing and got out of those environments, I still like being that way. Like I still like
Yeah.
being aggressive, and I still liked, I just wasn't honest with myself as far as like saying, "Oh, I like this toxic part of me." And once I started being honest with myself, like, hold up, man, like you like this shit. Like you like being this way. Stop acting
I
like you're the
don't like it. I have that side to me from, being in the military. Like there's almost like a switch in my brain that flips when I'm like, when I either feel intimidated or threatened, and having worked in the security world, it's like you have to have that, and so, you know, being in an environment where that's not that's not really encouraged, it's difficult to kind of turn that switch off, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely could see that when it comes to the military, especially. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my whole thing is there's so much information about so many different things that can help. Find something, test it out,
Yeah.
try it out, trial and error, see if it works, get better, you know? Don't judge
Yeah.
it, you know? Like
Yeah.
people are still talking shit about people that go to therapy. I'm like, go to therapy, you
If it
know?
works for you, it
Like,
works. Yeah.
you don't have to go to it for the rest of your life. Go to a session, go to, a couple of weeks, a month, see if it works. Get some more information from a therapist. See if there's something else that might work for you. Get better. Be healthy.
Well, and to kind of harken back to the acting thing, uh, I almost consider like, are you familiar with Lee Strasberg?
Mhm.
So Lee Strasberg would utilize techniques that would have you kind of delve into your own personal past in order to create a character.
Yeah.
And that was damaging, I guess, for a lot of people because, like studying Adler technique, it was that you are creating a complete character. And Stella Adler would always say that the past is dead. Like, forget about all that, like like it's a new day. and you're creating a unique character. It shouldn't be based on your own experiences. So, with therapy, like you're reinviting a lot of old trauma through, you know, talking about it, and so it's like I could see where people may be kind of adverse to that.
Yeah. Um, I could see that, but I also totally believe that trauma lives with you until you deal with it. And if you don't deal with it, it's going to deal with you. It's going to come up when you least expect it to. Um, and it could get you in a bad situation. And
Sure.
it's gotten me in bad situations. And
I
that's
can relate.
yeah, and that's when I really knew like I needed to start working on myself in a productive and a healthy way because I didn't want to live that that way, you know.
That's really inspiring, man. That's great that you're kind of able to uh recognize your blind spots and, like, kind of what you need to work on. I definitely have a lot of work to do, a lot of repairing and things of that nature.
I love that word
What
blind spots. Blind spots. I that's literally something that I'm constantly searching for my blind spots, and not only as like a healthy person, but as a comedian. Like how can I adjust to get people to come into my story a little bit like faster, you know?
Sure,
Like,
definitely.
yeah.
What's your most interesting experience that you've had as a comedian? Like, something that, because I always hear these wild stories that these comedians tell, like, uh, and I ask this to a lot of the hardcore bands, like, what do you, what do you got as far as uh, something crazy or something wild that happened either to you or to somebody else while they were performing? What do you got?
Man. Um I mean I've seen well you talk about hecklers and this wasn't me. I mean I've just seen good comics handle hecklers really well. So I to where like there's this one comic, his name's Willie Mack. I don't know if you're
Okay.
familiar with Willie Mack,
No.
but I've seen him handle a heckler in a way where his entire set just became about the heckler, but it felt so polished. It was so flawless. It was so hilarious. And like that's that's really all I could think of. Like I mean I'm older than a lot of comics. I'm 42, so I'm not, like I said, I stopped drinking. I'm not partying. I'm not doing a lot of fuck shit that a lot of these comics are doing. I don't hang out late anymore. I can't. you know, like it's just
Can
not.
relate, man. 41. You really think you're invincible until you start to get older, and then it's just like, 10 o'clock hits, you're just like, damn, I'm tired. Like,
Yeah.
I gotta go home, I gotta be to work in the morning.
But I mean, I will say we do butt heads a lot. Comedy is a vulnerable thing. I don't think people realize how vulnerable it is. Is one thing I was telling my wife. I was like, you'll never understand what a comic has to do to get better. He has to get on stage and make a fool of himself over and over and over again to get better. He has to make an ass of himself
Sure.
to, like and it's the only way. These ridiculous thoughts that are in my brain, like how am I gonna know if they're funny if I just keep them in my brain? I gotta get on
Sure.
stage and I gotta make an ass out of myself over and over and over again. It's a vulnerable thing. So I've seen and I've clashed with people. I've clashed with people about certain, at mics. I, the craziest thing that has happened. I'll tell you. I'll tell you two
Okay.
stories.
All right.
The first story is the first. I almost got into a fight with an open mic comic because of a seat. Because of a seat.
Okay.
This was a few years ago, and this is LA. A lot of us are walking around with this resentment and anger that we don't know what to do with. I'm aware of it because I'm working on myself. But
Sure.
I feel like a lot of people aren't really aware of the resentment that's building up because of the people, places, and things, and this machine that we are fucking in that really does not love us. We've covered that. It doesn't love
Yeah.
us. So there's this anger and resentment, and it just pours out sometimes. And I was at this mic and I sat down in a seat, and this comic came back, and he said something to me, and then I guess his keys were sitting down, and he picked up his keys and he went to a different seat, and then he started, and then he said something. I can't even remember what he said, but it triggered me in a way where I was like, okay, come outside. And we were literally like, the mic was over because we were like literally about to fight.
Oh
And
shit.
all the other comics had to break us up. Um, so that happened. That was a few years ago. So, but something that happened on my 40th birthday, I had a residency with a club, not a big club out here, and I was doing my birthday party, and um, I was running two rooms at the same time. I packed the place out. It was a Tuesday night. It was on my birthday. Packed the place out. I had so the show was called the Red Black Show, and each comic, like there'd be two comics on stage. They do a set, and after their set, they would switch stages, and they'd riff about the other person that was just on stage, and
Oh
they'd
wow.
do a riffing set. So one set would be a polished set, then they'd switch stages and do a riffing set. And the show was going flawless. And I was running this show, both stages by myself. The club owner decided, and my theory is because she saw that I got so many people out, she wanted to capitalize off of my audience. So she decided to book a show right after my show, even though the club said that they weren't going to do that. They're going to let me have my night because I rented out both stages. So when I was on stage outside, I was going to finish my set. This was at the end of the night. I was the last comic headlining. Um, when I was on the stage outside, they kicked everybody out of the showroom, the main stage, which was about 120 people, to move 25 people in for their next show. So so that group of people didn't see me perform on my
Oh,
birthday show. And I lost it. This was probably
oh
one
shit.
of my lowest moments in this town. I lost it. I cussed them out. I demanded all the money from the door, and I threw a table. So that
Oh,
was the first club I've gotten banned from.
that's
And yeah,
ridiculous. I mean, like you said, the audience was all there for you, and you rented it out, and then somebody essentially comes and like sweeps the rug out from under you, and it's like, I mean, I don't blame you for your reaction. I probably would have reacted the same way.
yeah, unfortunately, because of who I am, that didn't help me later on, and I paid for it. I think I could have gotten past at the Comedy Store if that rumor didn't get around to the Comedy Store about what happened at that club. But it was just another example that um, this town does not love you. When you think that there's some love, it's really not about you. It's about what you can do for them. I
Sure.
was producing shows at that club for 5 years consistently, and you know, it was a hard lesson for me. It was a hard lesson because certain people, there's a lot of people, a lot of gatekeepers that will manipulate you. One of the club owners was like, "You're family, we love you." They say all these things. It's all manipulation. And it was a tough lesson. It was a hard lesson. um and there's still people that have a idea of who they think I am because of certain low points in my life, like that. And it is what it is. People are gonna
Yeah.
hold on to stuff if they want, and it's fine. But it's a
I can
it's a
I
it
can
was
relate, man.
yeah, it's one of those lessons I get to learn from. And
How did how did this female comic react?
which female comic?
Well, you said they booked the she was trying to capitalize on your audience, and then she ended up booking a show right. She did it at the same time,
So
or
the owner is female, and
uh
she booked another show. Well, it's funny because that whole night was just like it felt like a setup. Like, so they had an open mic that ran late, right?
yeah.
Um, so my show started late because their open mic ran late and they didn't stop the mic.
Oh,
So my show started late, and then they booked another show last minute after my show. Um, and instead of letting me finish my show, which was like, I would have done maybe in 15 minutes or something like that. I could have done just 15 or something like that. Instead of letting me finish my show, they kicked out the audience while I was on the other stage and moved in. I think that it was like 25 tickets they sold. They kicked out 120 people for 25 people. It was just crazy. It just really felt personal. I took it real personal. There I don't know if you've had that feeling when you just like feel less than human. I just had that feeling. And I just went on
many times.
I just went on like, I don't know, self-preservation mode. Like, how can I feel like a person again?
Right.
And my solution was throw a table. It wasn't the best solution.
Again, well, yeah, but again, I understand that just seems like a pretty warranted reaction. It's when you feel slighted, you sometimes it just brings out the ugly in you. It's like
Yeah, yeah,
uh, can't really can't really always blame yourself for that. I don't think, especially if it's one of those things that is like coordinated and is kind of a setup. You're like, okay, like fuck you type thing.
man. It was one of those things. It was one of those moments. I don't even know if I would have done anything different. Like, it was just one of those moments.
Sure.
But what I would have done differently is not trusted them, and not, like, I was manipulated. I was
Sure.
manipulated to think that I was on the in. I was in the
Yeah.
group, and so, like,
Yeah.
that's what I would have done differently. I wouldn't have allowed myself to get manipulated, and I won't anymore. Now I kind of live in this town by the idea that I don't really trust you, but when you show up as a great person, I appreciate that. It's like a little
Of
cherry
course.
on top. It was like, oh,
Yeah.
there are people showing up as a grounded, loving, connected human being, and they are here. They are here. They are here. Um,
Hard to find, but yeah,
hard to
I believe you.
find, hard to find, but they are out there. So
Well,
that's kind of how I live now.
that's good, man, and that's kind of a good mantra as far as, like you said, you keep your circle tight, and like, you're just kind of able to navigate with, more of a kind of a loving group than the toxic individuals out there. No, I can relate, man. My most recent experience in LA was the most toxic experience I think I've ever had in my life.
Hmm.
And so I had to remove myself from it, and it's like, well, like that's probably the best course of action, like for some folks. What are your kind of like comedy goals within, like, let's say, like the next year?
Oh man. So, big goal of mine right now, and this is what I'm really, really working every day on, is I want to perform in the college circuit. Um, I want to go on tour. I want to get out of LA. I think at this point in my life, 10 years, uh, in order for me to continue to develop as a comedian, I need to get in front of regular people, working class people, people that have kids, people that can consider themselves adults. Like one of my jokes is I identify as an adult, you know. That's something most people in Los Angeles don't identify as an adult. I'm an
It's a
adult.
city of adult children.
Yeah. I have a wife, I have a son, I have a family, I own a car, I have a house, like I'm an adult, I want to
Sure.
tell jokes to adults,
Yeah.
I need to be on the road. Or college kids, kids that are excited. I've done some shows at SC, I've done some shows at UCLA, and I was kind of like taken aback by how well I was received by these college kids. So I did start a business called Fittainment that is it combines entertainment and fitness. And one of the things that I have that I've been creating is this show called Lion's Breath, a comedy yoga show. So I literally lead a comedy show, a yoga class while comics are riffing during the class. And I did that. I've done like 15 episodes. I have taped them. I just haven't. I've put some clips out. Just not really sure how I want to put them out. Do I want to put all the full episodes out, or do I want to just put out clips? I think I'm leaning towards just putting out the clips. But I went to NACA, which is National Association for College Activities. I went there this year, this year. And once again, those kids were really interested in that format, because it was so different. So that's what I'm really focused on. I want to go on tour. I don't know I could not tell you what my comedy career is going to eventually look like. If this is something that turns into me being more of a health and wellness comedian or a motivational speaker that tells joke, I don't know. I'm okay with it manifesting however it wants. I'm at a place where, and this is what I've been telling my friends, like I'm really at a place where it's like, God, whatever you have for me, let me just fall into the things that you have for me.
Sure.
I'm not, I'm no longer married to an idea. It's like, oh, I want to, I used to be like, oh, I want to be a working actor or die, like,
Right.
like I'm no longer
Been
that.
there, been there.
Yeah, I'm no longer that guy anymore,
That is a goal, though. I don't know if I'd rather die, but it's one of those things where it's like you don't want to do fruitless work. You don't want to do something that's soul crushing. You don't want to do something that you dread doing, because then it is work. I
Yeah,
mean, there of course there's you know preparation that's involved. Discipline and doing things in order to further your craft or whatever. But it shouldn't feel like you hate it, and
right.
so that seems to be a good goal, just to be able to do what you like and make a living off of it.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say die if you didn't, but yeah, definitely that makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah, yeah.
Very
So
cool.
really, really, to boil it down, I want to get out of LA. Not in a sense where I want to leave LA,
Yeah.
but I want to be on the road. I want to be. I want to. It's just very hard to unless you connect to something on social media. It's nearly impossible to find an audience here and to build an audience here. It's
Yeah.
nearly impossible unless I'll tell you the most supportive audience in Los Angeles are Hispanics, are Latin people. They are
Yeah.
the only community that you could build an audience, and I don't speak Spanish. So I ain't got a lot of, you know. Like
Yeah.
like black comedy is has disappeared in Los Angeles, you know, and everything else is just soft, man. It's just very soft here. It's just very everything's watered down. Everybody's just like we're oversaturated. We're too, famous people aren't even famous to us anymore. We don't care. We don't care about
That seems to
anything.
be that seems to be pretty par for the course, not just in comedy, but just in about every entertainment industry, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting you're talking about the Hispanic community. I worked at a print shop in downtown LA, and they would always ask, because largely Hispanic community, but they would always ask, like, they say, "Do you have Bad Bunny T-shirts?" You know, like that guy like blew the fuck up, and is
Yeah,
like
bro.
has a huge support of like the Latin American community. You know, so it's like I can totally understand. You know, they support shit they like. You know,
I
they love
envy it.
Morrissey. I don't get that shit. Like, I don't know why they love like Morrissey and the Smiths so much, because
Yeah.
he's not even Latin, you know, and
Yeah.
like they just love wearing his shit, you know. So
Man, if you can connect to the Latin community, man, you are winning. You are winning. They
oh,
support,
no
they
doubt.
buy your stuff, you know.
Yeah,
So yeah,
truth.
I need to get out of this town. I need to find a way to be on tour and be other places so I could build an audience. Like that's my goal, really.
It's awesome. That's a great goal. I mean, you're putting it out there into the ether, man. Like positive attitude. Got it, man. I believe it.
Thank
Um, and I always ask, you know, like as far as you know, I obviously come from an entertainment background. What are you listening to? What are you reading? What are you watching?
I watch all the specials because I'm a fan of comedy. I just watched Brian Simpson's special on Netflix. I hate when a black comic comes out and does a special that I really love, and I wish I would have done. He's like talks about everything I want to talk about in a
Sure.
special. It's such a good way. It's such a casual, conversational way. His special is really good. He closed that special really strong, probably stronger than I've seen in a while. Um, I'm also a fan of television. I grew up watching TV. I was a couch potato. I watched movies. I watched TV. I feel like not a lot of people do that anymore. I love TV.
No.
I love acting. I love good acting. I've started to like bad acting as well because most of it is terrible. Um,
Sure.
like the new Roadhouse. I haven't seen it yet, but
There's a new Roadhouse?
there's a new Roadhouse with Jake
Oh no.
Gyllenhaal and Conor McGregor
Oh
on
no.
Amazon Prime, and everybody says it's trash.
I'll
And
bet.
and
The original one wasn't even that good.
yeah, I mean, it was a cult classic, but
Kind
um,
of cheesy, but yeah.
cheesy.
Wow. New Roadhouse. Okay.
New Roadhouse. So I'm probably gonna watch it this weekend. Um, uh, I read a lot of like self help books. You know, um, one I'm reading right now is been reading this book called the 1% Rule. But it
Heard of it.
talks about organizing your life and uh staying consistent. Like we said, the hardest part of like the secret to like becoming successful is consistency. It's not talent, it's not, it's consistency. So I read a lot of those type of books. I am actively trying to be a better yoga instructor. I think teaching yoga is a I found a weird and I found a gift that I didn't know I had, which is teaching yoga. So now
That's good.
I teach more than just yoga sculpt. I teach a power and a power one vinyasa. I teach a yin, which is like a very meditating class. Um, And I get over the last couple years, people have been telling me about like my voice. I'm able, and it could be I'm a performer. So people are surprised by how I shift. I'm like a chameleon. Like I could go from a drill sergeant to a guided meditating, person, low energy, calm, relaxed. And I've been able to do that in these yoga spaces. I really feel like I'm probably my best self when I'm teaching yoga
It's awesome.
because I'm able to adjust because I have an idea of what people are looking for when they move into it, when they go to a yoga class, because I know what I'm looking for when I'm going to a yoga class. And I'm able to alter my voice and, like I teach a yin class with the lights off. And a lot of times people will come outside the class and was like, that was you? They'll be so shocked. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, that was me, you know. So I even forgot the question. I just been rambling. But
Well, just like what are you watching? What are you reading?
okay. Yeah, yeah.
Have you read Think and Grow Rich?
I
Napoleon Hill?
read that twice. I even
It's a
have
great one.
I have a book that was like the first edition, and I was like, man, they made a couple editions, and I started reading the book, and I was like, oh, this is why they made more editions. This one's racist.
Is it?
The first one has like coloreds and like a lot of
Oh,
terminology that is like kind of out that are dated, and that's
okay.
what I learned. This is why they do more editions, like
Good.
they take out
Different. Yeah, the
dated.
vernacular of the time was a little bit different. That's
Yeah,
wow. I don't know if I read that edition because I don't and it's been so long since I've read that, but that's fucked up. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, regardless of the content, the idea is actually good.
Oh
It's
yeah,
practical application and like reinforcing having a positive attitude and goals and things like that. So
yeah, yeah. So
that's why
I'm
I like
I'm in-
that. And
I'm big on self improvement. I'm reading yoga books and stuff like that. Listen to a lot of guided meditations. Um, I have been listening to stand up books and stuff like that. I like audio books.
yeah,
Especially when it's like stand up. I think repetition is very important. Like hearing the same things. Like I'll
yes,
listen to a book over and over and over and over again. Um, the Power of the Subconscious Mind, another good one. Another thing that I've read and now I listen to. Um, so yeah, I mean, I feel like I've had so many bad programs in my life that I've developed. Like I'm just want to stay on the path of retraining myself and staying in that vibration because I know your past is right behind you. Even when you break that program, it's funny how, just like, oh, I got over this. I broke that program. I no longer have road rage. And then someone cuts you off. Next thing you're following them home or something like that. It was like,
yeah.
oh wait, I thought I got over this. It's like, nope, it's right behind you, bro. Like
I
it's a
had it the other day. Not as bad, but
yeah.
it
It's a thing you
still
have to like
persists.
continue to like, work or like you have to like I just don't ever think that you're not that guy anymore. You've changed, but the right trigger, the right trigger will turn you right back into that
Sure,
that guy. So like that's kind of
no doubt.
where I'm at.
Now, is there anyone you want to shout out as far as comedians in the area, or anybody that you've performed with?
Um yeah, man. So I've been going to a few places that I think are healthy in Los Angeles. Two of my friends, JT Hernandez and Raj Blacksmith. They have a mic called Big Chillin'. Shout out to Big Chillin', a very, very supportive, healthy place, always a good energy, a good vibe. Um, Can't Even Comedy in Austin, another group people. They do produce shows in Austin, sometimes in LA. They've been very supportive to me, good people. Um, and No, everybody else sucks, bro. No, I'm kidding.
Well, I want to shout out Joe Bando for setting this up.
Oh,
He's a
Joe
good friend
Bando,
of
my
mine.
man. Joe Bando. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely Joe
yeah.
Bando.
He's doing big things, man.
Yeah,
He's coming up in the world. He's great. So,
Joe Bando.
um,
Joe Bando and I, we're interesting because like we you put us next week. Like if we had a face off, you'd be like, yeah, these guys hate each other. But we're like so much alike. That's why I told Joe. I was like, bro, like it's crazy how we are so much alike, but we look like just from the eye test, it's like, yeah, these people have nothing in common, but like, no, we got so much in common. It's funny.
that's great. Well, dude, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show, and I'll be sure to post all your links to all your social media and wherever. I notice you have a YouTube channel, and so I'll be sure to post those links in the comment. And at the top of the hour, I forgot to mention I have a merchandising company called Hell's Heart Merch Company. As you can see on the bottom there, it's hellsheartco.bigcartel.com. Use the
Nice.
code 20 for 20% off your entire order. Just made this shirt actually. It's for my Hare Krishna themed line, 10th Canto, which is actually going to be folding over into the Hell's Heart store. It's cheaper. I pay for that store, and the other store only gives you 5 free shirts. So all the merch from 10th Canto is going to be moving over to Hell's Heart. And I want to go ahead and throw up some samples real quick. We got the Hell's Heart Black Flag mock. We got the Hell's Heart Bullet Steve McQueen shirt. We got the Psycho 2. Here's a Scream one with Tatum, glow in the dark. Glow in the dark, folks. You got to get
That's
it.
cool.
Um, and then this one is with Randy, also glow in the dark. But that's just a handful of samples that we got. So please head on over there and buy some shit. That would be great. And you can follow me on social media, IG at the TNF Podcast. Um, and please like, subscribe, share, click on the bell for notifications. Do all that stuff because that would be fantastic. And please support Yoga Leroy because he's doing great things. And dude, I want to wish you the best of success. And I hope you get on the road. I think that'll be good. It'll be refreshing to get out of the cage that is LA.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you, man. This has been a great time. Thanks for having me on your show, bro. And I love what you're
Absolutely,
doing.
man.
You're
Thanks, man.
inspiring.
And hang out in the back for a few minutes. I always give everybody a T-shirt that comes on the show, so I'll get your information. So,
Oh, cool.
a-
Thank you.
all right, everybody. Namaste. God bless. Be good.